This situation somehow got even more insane as multiple insiders have released reports on Artemi Panarin's future as a New York Ranger. And with the Rangers star forward seemingly checked out of this young season, Chris Drury is going to have to make a crazy decision. We're going to break down the entire situation, what's happening with Artemi Panarin, and what Chris Drury needs to do to ensure the success of this club. We're going to break it all down in this episode of Rangers Digest. But before we do that, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. About 72% of you are not subscribed to the channel. So if you want to stay up to date with everything that's happening with the New York Rangers, go down below, hit that free subscribe button because this channel is built for blue shirt fandom and it's the place to be for all your daily New York Rangers content. But Bret, let's get right into it. No surprise so far through this season. It's pretty hilarious that they haven't scored on home ice yet, right? Like that's never been done through the first 3 games. So pretty funny in that regard. I would imagine they're going to get over that and they'll be just fine. They're playing a lot better, but one player who isn't playing a lot better is Artemi Panarin, and there's a lot left to be desired with his play so far this season. But there's been multiple reports that have come out from Frank Seravalli and other insiders saying, on his extension, they think that the Rangers are actually comfortable letting this ride until next offseason, even though there's free agents coming off the board at an alarming rate. McDavid signed now, Kirill Kaprizov, there's others that have signed like Jack Eichel, right? They are comfortable letting this go down to the wire. If they fall short of making the playoffs, there's some speculating, insiders, multiple insiders, or if they're not very competitive by a certain date, that they could look to trade him or just let him walk in free agency. So things are getting really crazy right now. Johnny Lazarus came out and said that he thinks it's actually time to just move on from him straight up, which I think is pretty crazy at this point in time. Maybe not so, because we're going to get into his play, of course, but things are getting a little crazy with this situation. Again, from Frank Seravalli, he's not down on Artemi Panarin at all, but the Rangers do not want to sign him to what he wants to sign for. He's not going to take a hometown discount. We know that. We've talked about that in the past. So what do you make of this situation? He hasn't been good straight up at all this season, right? And you have other players that have been, and I think it's a fluke that they've been shut out 3 straight at home. They'll be fine. There's encouraging signs there, but he's not one of them.
Yeah, here's the thing, Darius. I don't have an issue with players wanting to get paid, with players wanting to get valued at the production they are, producing. But the problem is that despite everything, despite Artemi Panarin being one of the best Ranger signings of all time, probably, quite frankly, not only that, but being, as productive as he's been since the Rangers acquired him, we've spoken about those lists. We've spoken about how since joining the Rangers, he's 5th in total points since 2019. You guys know the names. We saw 2 of them yesterday for Edmonton that are ahead of him on that list. But, nevertheless, some great company. But the bread man, if he wants to get that bread, if he wants to get that big paycheck, he needs to start playing like it. Because if he continues to play at this level, obviously, he will score a goal. He's not going to end the season with 0 goals. We understand that. But there were a few key components for the Rangers to have success this season. We know when the Rangers are at their best. Obviously, Shesterkin is vintage. He's playing like a Vezina Trophy Award winner. Not only that, Adam Fox playing at an elite level. We've seen those 2 components so far this season. We've spoken about the special teams as well. The penalty kill has been perfect. That is great to see. The power play, a lot left to be desired. Only 2 for 14 this season. Yep. But the bread man, make no mistake about it, he is a huge component, a huge piece to that puzzle of when the Rangers are operating at a very high level. And the bottom line is, despite the Rangers generating tons of grade A opportunity, tons of high danger scoring chances, it feels like a lot of it has been manufactured by the bottom 6, Darius, and the Rangers are not paying the Adam Edstroms, the Matt Rempes of the world to score goals, to be pure goal scorers. That's why you pay Panarin $11 million. That's why you pay Mika Zibanejad $9 million. And those 2 players in particular just have 1 goal combined through 5 games. That's not acceptable. They have to get better if the Rangers want to make the playoffs this year, and especially Panarin, who, like you said, Darius, looks a bit checked out, and that's a bit concerning.
Definitely. And like you said, we'll get to the advanced analytics in a second. I'm going to bring up something, stay tuned for this, that is going to blow your minds in terms of what's happening with the team right now and who's producing the offense, or, again, they haven't scored on home ice, but who's at least generating chances. But Panarin, again, it doesn't sound like he wants to take a hometown discount. He's projected at $10.5 million right now over the course of 4 years. He's making over $11 million right now, and he's not doing anything. If the season, if you were to ride out the whole season with his current production, he'd probably end up with like 60 points. That's not good enough. That's not even close to good enough for what he's making and who he is, what they need him to be on this team. So yes, very concerning. This is what I wanted to bring up. 5-on-5. This is from Money Puck. If you're looking at the Rangers and who's producing 5-on-5 expected goals, first of all, shout out to Mika Zibanejad, who's clearly been the best player all season so far. He's been producing. Is he the quickest player? Is he the same player that he was years ago? Maybe not, but he is the best right now. He's come to play this year, and I think that's very encouraging. Sam Carrick is up there too, and he had a great game last night. So a lot of these guys in the bottom six are producing. And you can see Panarin way, way, way down there. He's not doing anything. You can see some of his line mates are higher than him as well. That's very discouraging. And I know that Trocheck's out right now. And Bret, you've talked about it on the channel before. Like those two together, it's perfect, right? That's your bread and butter right there. No pun intended. But, that is something that you could consider. But man, for $11.6 million, you got to get going here. You have to start producing. And one other thing I wanted to bring up, and I wanted your thoughts on this, is this is another chart in terms of expected goals as a graph from Money Puck. And you can see that, majority of the Rangers, Miller, Zibanejad, Cooley, Lafreniere, all guys who are generating chances are in a category that is no finish and unlucky. They're just unlucky, but they're generating chances. You can't even see Panarin's name here, but he's in a category, and for those of you listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, he's in a category that they call bad. He is in a category called bad. He has been that bad so far this season. So he has to pick it up. And we've talked a lot about Adam Fox. He needs to pick it up this year. He needs to be better than he was last year. Honestly, a lot of the guys who were called out and, not only us, but everyone, Rangers fans were talking about during the summer, have come to play so far. They just haven't put the puck in the back of the net on home ice. He has not. And I think that's very, very concerning.
It is concerning, Darius. And if you want to get paid like the highest skater on the team, you need to play like it. Not only that, to Johnny Lazarus's point, thinking it's time to move on from Panarin. We spoke about it off air. We don't want this to turn into a Panarin dump fest because, look, the guy has been a sensational player, a sensational talent since joining the Rangers. I mean, the points speak for themselves, but when you talk this big game that you don't want to take a hometown discount, we've seen players like John Tavares in Toronto take a hometown discount. We've seen other players like Kopitar in Los Angeles. I understand, he's about to retire, but still, those are two guys that want to win, that want to compete. Connor McDavid taking a huge discount, leaving a ton of money on the table so he can have that window in Edmonton to win. Now, Panarin, if you're that serious about winning a cup on Broadway, you would consider doing the same thing, especially with the type of season you have had thus far. I know it's a small sample size, but it is concerning that, looking at those charts, he is ranked well below guys like Sam Carrick, who, has played very well this year and yesterday had a tremendous game. I'm sure there was some extra will, some extra want to going against his former team, and I've said it on the channel that might be one of Chris Drury's best signings since taking over in 2021. I mean, Sam Carrick has been an absolute steal. He has been generating offense for that fourth line. The problem is that Adam Edstrom, I understand all those high danger opportunities he has had. The guy is not a pure goal scorer. That's not what you bring in a player like that for. It's great that they've had those chances. They've had those opportunities. It is for sure a momentum line. But if the Rangers are banking on Adam Edstrom, Connor Sherry, guys like this to produce at a high clip, it's going to be a long, long season for the Rangers. And Panarin, I mean, it's been proven. I just don't think he can be the best player, the best skater on your roster, on a championship winning roster. It's been proven. Even the year where he had 120 points, it wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough to get through a Florida team in the postseason. He is not good enough in the postseason. His frame might not be built for the postseason. Guys lean on him, guys wear him down, when the stakes get high, when the tensions get high. And you really have to think about that, Darius. We have to bring this up. If you're going to pay him over $10 million at his age, do you really think you can win with this player? Do you really think you can hoist that Stanley Cup trophy with Artemi Panarin being your best player? I don't think so, because he's getting older and he hasn't done it yet. And I'm just willing to follow the track record. The Rangers have not gotten over the hump with Artemi Panarin as their best player.
Absolutely. And, a lot of people have called into question his playoff success or lack thereof playoff success, right? Over the course of the last couple of years. And people have been talking about it for a long time. And I truly believe, that you have to have some type of synergy throughout this dynamic of everybody's in alignment if you want to find success in the NHL and win a Stanley Cup, from management to coaching to the players, right? And one thing I thought was very interesting over the course of the last 24 hours specifically, and I wanted to touch on this very quickly before I move on to the quote. If you look at over the last couple of days since the season opener, there's been guys like Miller who have gotten way better. You can see this in the chart. Panarin has been just steady, not doing anything the whole time. That's concerning. And when you look at quotes like last night from head coach Mike Sullivan, and JT Miller said the exact same thing, the captain of this team said, we cannot change anything. We must stay the course. We can't get discouraged. We have to become determined, and pucks will go in. And listen, guys, they're not going to go all 41 games at home without scoring. That's ridiculous. It's going to turn around, right? But one thing I thought was interesting in all of this is Panarin kind of said something the opposite, right? Like, it doesn't seem like there's alignment here right now. It looks like he's kind of checked out. I have to be honest. If you watch him on the ice and some of the quotes, and I don't want to take this out of context or anything like that, but I just thought it was interesting. I just wanted to make this observation that, he said that, we want to change our way and start winning games. I thought that was interesting based on what Sullivan and JT said after last night. So some pretty interesting stuff there. Any final thoughts on that, Bret? Because, things got to turn around for Artemi Panarin.
Yeah, quick final thought, which is it's great to see Sullivan, the head coach, and JT Miller, the captain, on the ice be in alignment. That is certainly what you want to see from your organization. The Mike Sullivan structure is working. It is evident that this team is buttoned up. It is evident that this team, talking about no BS coming into the season, talking about we want to be a team that is hard to play against, that has all checked out through 5 games this season. Once the Rangers start finding a way to put that puck between the pipes, they will win a lot of games against good teams. And even if they keep playing this type of hockey, that honest style of hockey, that strong style of hockey that Sullivan has implemented, they will certainly beat the bad teams on a night-to-night basis. But if they want to take that next step, if they want to start ascending, they need to start putting the puck in the back of the net against these good teams like Washington, like Edmonton. And I understand, that they're good teams, but, Skinner, Charlie Lindgren, Slivas, these are not exactly elite goaltenders. I mean, respectively, they are good goaltenders in the National Hockey League, but the Rangers, I understand they're generating all these chances. Mika Zibanejad, I get it. The volume has been there. But, you got to find a way to execute. You got to find a way to get the puck past these goaltenders, because it's not exactly like Connor Hellebuck and Andrei Vasilevsky and Bobrovsky out there. I mean, they're good goaltenders. They are not elite goaltenders. So Panarin, that disconnect is real, changing the style of play. You don't like to see that. We know he likes to play an east to west style of hockey. I have not yet seen him truly buy into that north-south style, which has worked so well for the Rangers this season. That's why you see them playing with pace. That's why you see them playing with pressure. And until Panarin fully buys in, he's going to continue struggling, because he continues to make those east to west style of passes that continue to get picked off, and it's just not working. You need to play full steam ahead, a straight line style of hockey. And until he buys in, Darius, the results are going to be the same.
Yeah, and I expect him to at some point. And if he doesn't buy in, I mean, they'll probably trade him at this point, because they're trying to accomplish something. But it's going to be interesting to watch how this unfolds. Let us know how you feel in the comments below. The conversation always continues there and on X and TikTok. The links for those are in the description. And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with everything New York Rangers.